the Quran when it might have been banned in the future? Would they just take you away? Anyway, back to the article. As the article goes on to say, or in the more distant future, to detect a person's thinking. Only 1 hour until the bomb explodes. Today, the science of detecting and decoding brain activity is in its infancy. Like I said, 30 years. But various government agencies are funding the development of technology to detect brain activity remotely and are hoping to eventually decode what someone is thinking. Just like in George Orwell's 1984 and the Thought Police. Scientists, however, widely disagree about the accuracy of brain imaging technology. What brain activity may mean, and especially whether brain activity can be detected from afar. Yet, as the experts argue about the significance, scientific limitations of remote brain detection, this chilling science fiction may already be a reality. In 2002, the Electronic Privacy Information Centre reported that NASA was developing brain monitoring devices for airports and was seeking to use non-invasive sensors in passenger gates to collect the electronic signals emitted by passengers' brains. Scientists scoffed at the reports, arguing that to do what NASA was proposing required that an electroencephalogram be physically attached to the scalp, that's an EEG. But that same year, scientists at the University of Sussex in England adapted the same technology they had been using to detect heart rates at distances of up to 1 metre to remotely detect changes in the brain. And while scientific limitations to remote EEG detection still exist, clearly the question is when and not if these issues will be resolved. Meanwhile, another remote brain activity detector which uses light beamed through the skull to measure changes in oxygen levels in the brain may be on the way. Together with the EEG, it would enhance the power of brain scanning. Today, the technology consists of a headband sensor worn by the subject, a control box to capture the data, and a computer to analyse it. With the help of government funding, however, that is all becoming increasingly compact and portable, paving the way for more specific remote detection of brain activity. Scientists are hard at work trying to decode how these signals relate to mental states such as perception and intention. Different EEG frequencies, for example, have been associated with fear, anger, joy and sorrow, and different cognitive states such as a person's level of alertness. So, when you're stopped for speeding and terrified because you're carrying illegal drugs in the trunk of your car, EEG technology might be able to tell the police through the detection of your fear or increased alertness. And this is not so far-fetched. Some scientists already are able to tell from brain images in the lab whether a test subject was envisioning a tool such as a hammer or a screwdriver, and to predict whether the subject intended to add or subtract numbers. Last month, scientists announced a new study aimed at decoding visual imagery in the brain. Although brain-based lie detection technology has been quite controversial and has only been tested on a limited basis, early researchers have claimed high accuracy at detecting deception that is. But there is a problem. Most brain-based lie detection tests assume that lying should result in more brain activity than truth-telling, because lying involves more cognition. So these lie detectors may fail in sociopaths or in individuals who believe in the falsehoods they're telling. Whether such technology will be effective outside the laboratory remains to be seen, but the very fact that the government is banking on its future potential raises scary questions. Just remember, people, when the law enforcement or the schools or any kind of civil authority or government authority finally has this kind of equipment in their hands, if you are detected of some kind of unusual activity, will you be arrested? And can they use this as evidence against you, even if you've done nothing wrong? Civil liberties are being cut and killed all the time. There's laws after laws being brought out year after year, and a lot of this is due to September the 11th. Just think though, people, did you know that the CIA created Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan when the Russians invaded as an intelligence network? Think about it. This next article from the Daily Mail in England grabbed my attention this week. The headline is, "The week they sowed the seeds of a British secret police." The article says, "It is still just possible to imagine that this is a normal country if you don't pay much attention." But the story of the couple who were spied on in the case where they're accused of cheating to get their child into a popular school shows just how strange and alien Britain has become. Before I finish the article, I'll just tell you a bit about this case, what he's mentioning. Poole Borough Council in England has admitted spying on a family using laws to attract criminals and terrorists to find out if they were really living in a school catchment area. The couple and their 3 children were put under surveillance without their knowledge by the council for more than 2 weeks. The council admitted using powers under the Regulation of Investigative Powers Act on 6 occasions in total. 3 of those were for suspected fraudulent school place applications. It said 2 offers of school places were withdrawn as a consequence. Investigatory Powers Act legislation allows councils to carry out surveillance if it suspects criminal activity. This goes back to what I was about earlier on. How do you define criminal activity? The Act also allows interception of communications, carrying out of surveillance, and the use of covert human intelligence sources. Back to the Daily Mail article by Peter Hitchens. He's voicing his concerns, you see. "Usually, when I say I feel I am living in a foreign land, my enemies accuse me of making some remark about immigration. But that's not what I mean at all. Immigration is a problem, sure enough, but if I want to talk about it, I'll make it clear that's what I'm doing. I'm not ashamed of being against mass immigration on its current absurd scale. I feel no need to disguise my views." It's right. He should be allowed to express his views. He goes on, "What bothers me just as much is the sense of being transported when I wasn't looking into a very bad dream from which there is no waking up. When exactly did it happen? When did my town hall change from being a friendly, efficient place into a headquarters of fussy political correctness, where I feel like an unwanted interloper? When did the BBC News become a shameless propaganda show instead of a discreet one? When did my GP surgery start asking me for my ethnic origin? And when did they start treating parents as guilty suspects if they bring a child into a hospital after a fall? When did it become impossible ever to speak to anyone who will take responsibility for anything? When did I start getting the feeling